In the far corners of the galaxy, many powerful alien races ruled over vast empires. These races had massive armies, advanced technology, and powerful spaceships. But there was one species that no one cared about: the Minolans. They were a small, fragile-looking race living on a peaceful planet called Minara. The Minolans were known for their intelligence and creativity, but they had no weapons or army. They avoided conflicts, choosing to live quietly in their corner of the galaxy. Because the Minolans didn't fight or conquer, other species saw them as weak. The Galactic Council, which controlled much of the galaxy, didn't think the Minolans were important. They were never invited to important meetings, and their voice was ignored. Other races mocked them, calling them helpless and useless. For a long time, the Minolans just accepted this. They kept to themselves, building their cities and exploring science and art. They hoped that one day the galaxy would leave them alone. But things were changing. A dangerous alien empire called the Vorkal was growing stronger. The Vorkal were a warlike race that believed in conquering weaker species. They moved from planet to planet, destroying everything in their path. The Galactic Council was too afraid to stop them, and the smaller races had no chance of fighting back. Soon, the Vorkal would reach the Minolans' home, and there would be nothing to stop them. Everyone in the galaxy believed that when the Vorkal arrived, the Minolans would be easily conquered. No one thought the Minolans could defend themselves. Most of the Galactic Council ignored them, assuming they were a lost cause. But one species didn't give up on them: humans. Humans were new to the galaxy. They weren't as advanced as some of the other species, but they were known for their bravery and loyalty. Humans didn't believe in abandoning those who needed help. When they heard about the Minolans and the danger they faced, they decided to act. While the rest of the galaxy looked the other way, humanity saw something special in the Minolans. They saw potential. Captain Aidan Walker, a respected leader in the human fleet, was the first to take interest in the Minolans. He had heard stories of their intelligence and creativity. He believed that with the right help, the Minolans could be stronger than anyone thought. He decided to visit Minara, the Minolans' home planet, to see for himself. When Captain Walker arrived, he was amazed by what he saw. The Minolans' cities were beautiful, filled with incredible art and advanced technology that no one had ever seen before. But it was clear that they had no weapons, no defenses, and no way to protect themselves. Despite this, the Minolans greeted Captain Walker with kindness and curiosity. They weren't afraid, even though they knew the Vorkal were coming. They were hopeful, but they didn't know how to fight. Walker knew the Minolans needed help, and fast. He returned to Earth, convincing human leaders to assist the Minolans. At first, some humans were hesitant. Why help a species that couldn't even defend itself? But Walker reminded them of humanity's own history. Earth had once been weak and overlooked by more powerful empires, but they had survived and grown stronger. In the end, humanity decided to stand by the Minolans. They sent supplies, advisors, and defense systems to Minara. The humans knew it wouldn't be easy, but they believed in the Minolans' potential. They began working closely with the Minolans, teaching them how to defend their planet. Little by little, the Minolans started to learn. While the rest of the galaxy had given up on the Minolans, humanity stood by their side. For the first time in their history, the Minolans had allies. Together, they would face the coming storm. Far away in the galaxy, the Vorkal Empire was feared by all. The Vorkal were ruthless and powerful, known for conquering weaker planets without mercy. Their massive fleet of warships moved from one world to another, destroying anything that stood in their way. The Vorkal believed in only one thing: strength. To them, if a species couldn't fight, they didn't deserve to exist. The Minolans, the peaceful and fragile alien species, were next on their list. The Vorkal saw them as an easy target, another weak species to crush. The Galactic Council, which was supposed to protect all species, decided to stay silent. They didn't want to anger the Vorkal. The Council believed that helping the Minolans wasn't worth the risk. They thought it was better to let the Minolans be destroyed than to face the wrath of the Vorkal. But humans had a different view. After Captain Aidan Walker's visit to the Minolans' home planet Minara, humanity had begun helping them. The humans couldn't stand by and watch innocent lives be lost. They sent supplies and advisors to help the Minolans build defenses. However, they knew that time was running out. The Vorkal were getting closer, and soon, the peaceful planet of Minara would be under attack. The Minolans had never fought a war before. They were scientists, artists, and thinkers, not soldiers. They didn't have weapons or an army, but with the humans' help, they began learning. The humans showed them how to build simple defenses and taught them basic combat techniques. The Minolins were quick learners, but there was still so much they didn't know. One day, a message arrived from the Vorkal Empire. The message was short and clear: leave the Minolins or face destruction. The Vorkal were warning the humans to stay out of the fight. They believed that no one could stand against them, not even humans. The Galactic Council, fearing the worst, also urged humanity to step away. They told the humans, don't risk war with the Vorkal. Save yourselves. But the humans refused to leave. Captain Walker stood firm. He knew the Minolins couldn't win this fight alone, and humanity had promised to help them. We won't abandon our friends, Walker said, his voice filled with determination. The humans began preparing for war alongside the Minolins, knowing they were facing one of the most dangerous enemies in the galaxy. The Vorkal Empire, seeing that humans weren't backing down, started gathering their forces for a full-scale invasion. They prepared to send their most powerful warships to Minara. The Vorkal had never lost a battle, and they believed this fight would be no different. To them, it was just another planet to conquer, another species to destroy. As the threat of war loomed, the Minolins felt a mix of fear and hope. They were scared of the Vorkal's power, but felt a new sense of strength with humans by their side. The humans had given them something they never had before: belief in themselves. The Minolins worked day and night, building defenses and preparing their people for the coming fight. The Galactic Council, still watching from afar, believed the Minolins would be wiped out. They didn't think the humans stood a chance against the mighty Vorkal. Many council members whispered that the humans were foolish for risking their lives for such a weak species. But humans didn't care about what others thought. They were loyal, and they knew the Minolins were worth protecting. As the Vorkal's fleet began its journey toward Minara, the galaxy held its breath. Everyone expected the Minolins to fall, just like all the others who had faced the Vorkal before. But humans had a different plan. They believed that together with the Minolins, they could stand up to this dangerous enemy and prove that strength isn't just about weapons and power, it's about heart and unity. The battle was coming, and neither the humans nor the Minolins were ready to give up. The news spread fast throughout the galaxy. The Vorkal were coming for Minara. Everyone knew the Minolins had no chance. The Galactic Council had already decided not to intervene. They believed the fight wasn't worth the risk of provoking the Vorkal Empire. Other races stayed silent, afraid of getting involved in a conflict with such a powerful enemy. For the Minolins, it felt like the entire galaxy had turned its back on them. But not the humans. Captain Aiden Walker and his team continued to work with the Minolins, preparing them for the fight of their lives. Humanity's decision to stand with the Minolins was seen as foolish by many. The Galactic Council even sent a warning to Earth, telling them to withdraw before it was too late. You're putting your entire race in danger for a species that can't even defend itself, the council leaders said. But humans refused to leave. We won't abandon our friends, Walker repeated, time and time again. It didn't matter to him that they were standing alone. To Captain Walker and his crew, loyalty meant more than safety. They were ready to protect the Minolins, no matter what it cost them. The Minolins, on the other hand, were filled with a mix of fear and determination. They had never fought in a real battle before. Their world had been peaceful for as long as they could remember, and the idea of war terrified them. But the humans had shown them that they weren't as helpless as the galaxy believed. The Minolins were smart, and with the humans' guidance, they had learned how to build defenses, use technology for battle, and even create makeshift weapons. Still, the odds were against them. The Vorkal were brutal warriors, known for their advanced warships and ruthless tactics. They had crushed every planet that dared to resist them. The Minolins' defenses were nowhere near as strong as what the Vorkal would bring. Everyone knew that once the Vorkal arrived, it would be a fight to the death. As the humans and Minolins prepared for the battle, the tension grew. The Minolins looked up to the sky every day, waiting for the Vorkal fleet to appear. The humans stayed close by, always ready to calm their fears. Captain Walker worked day and night, strengthening the Minolins' defenses and making sure they had a plan in place. He knew they were outnumbered and outgunned, but he believed in the Minolins' courage. The Galactic Council continued to watch from afar, expecting the worst. They assumed that the humans would eventually realize they were fighting a losing battle and retreat. But the humans didn't retreat. Captain Walker and his team stood by the Minolins, ready to fight alongside them, even if it meant standing alone against the most feared empire in the galaxy. The Minolins had never felt such strong support before. For the first time, they believed they could fight back. The humans gave them more than just weapons and defense plans. They gave them hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, they could survive this. Finally, the day came when the Vorkal fleet appeared in the sky above Minara. It was larger than anyone had expected, with hundreds of massive warships ready to destroy everything in their path. The Minolins trembled in fear, but they didn't run. The humans had taught them to stand their ground, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. The humans and Minolins stood together, watching as the Vorkal ships descended. Captain Walker gave the signal, and the Minolins activated their defenses. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for. The galaxy had abandoned them, and the Vorkal were about to strike. But they weren't alone. Not anymore. The fight ahead was going to be the hardest battle they had ever faced. They knew the chances of victory were slim, but with the humans standing by them, they had something the Vorkal didn't expect: the will to fight for their survival. Together, humans and Minolins would stand against the Vorkal, even if they had to do it alone. The sky above Minara was filled with darkness as the Vorkal fleet descended. Their warships were massive, casting shadows across the ground as they approached the planet. The sight of the ships terrified the Minolins. They had never seen anything like this before. Giant vessels armed with weapons designed to destroy entire cities in seconds. The peaceful world of Minara had never faced an enemy like this, but the humans were ready. Captain Aiden Walker stood on the front lines with his team, watching as the Vorkal ships hovered above. He knew this was going to be a fight unlike any other. The Minolins had prepared as much as they could, but they were still learning how to fight. Their defenses were basic compared to the advanced technology of the Vorkal. Still, Walker believed they had a chance. The humans had taught the Minolins to fight not just with weapons, but with courage. As the first Vorkal ship fired, the ground shook beneath them. A blast of energy hit one of the Minolins' makeshift shields, nearly breaking through. The Minolins scrambled, trying to hold the line. Walker shouted commands, guiding them through the chaos. "Hold steady! Don't give up!" he yelled, his voice strong even in the face of overwhelming odds. The humans fought fiercely. Their smaller, faster ships flew up to meet the Vorkal warships, dodging blasts and firing back with everything they had. They couldn't match the Vorkal in size or firepower, but they were skilled and determined. Human pilots flew with precision, hitting weak spots in the Vorkal ships that slowed them down. On the ground, the Minolins fought bravely alongside the humans. They used the weapons and defenses the humans had helped them build, trying to push back against the invading force. Every Minolin was scared, but they stood their ground. For the first time, they felt a sense of unity. They were no longer the weak species that everyone in the galaxy had given up on. They were fighters now, thanks to the humans. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit up the sky as the two forces clashed. The Vorkal were relentless, sending wave after wave of attacks. But the humans and Minolins held on. The Vorkal commanders were surprised by the resistance they faced. They had expected an easy victory, but the humans had given the Minolins the strength to fight back. At one point, a massive Vorkal warship broke through the defenses and landed on the planet's surface. Its doors opened, and hundreds of Vorkal soldiers poured out, armed with deadly weapons. The Minolins panicked for a moment, seeing the fierce warriors charging toward them. But Captain Walker didn't hesitate. "Fall back to the next line! We've trained for this!" he shouted, rallying both the humans and Minolins. Together, they retreated to a safer position, where they had set up a trap. As the Vorkal soldiers advanced, Walker gave the signal. A series of hidden explosives went off, shaking the ground and catching the Vorkal off guard. It wasn't enough to stop them completely, but it slowed their advance. The battle continued with neither side willing to give up. The Minolins fought harder than they ever thought possible, inspired by the humans' bravery. For every Vorkal soldier that advanced, the humans and Minolins worked together to push them back. It was a brutal, exhausting fight, but they knew they couldn't afford to lose. In the heat of battle, one thing became clear. The Vorkal had underestimated the humans and their allies. They thought the Minolins were weak, but with humanity's help, they had become something much more. The Vorkal were powerful, but they didn't understand the bond between the humans and the Minolins. That bond gave them a strength the Vorkal couldn't measure. As the sun began to set, the battlefield was covered in smoke and debris. The humans and Minolins had managed to hold the Vorkal off for now, but the fight wasn't over. They had won the first round, but they knew the Vorkal wouldn't stop until they had conquered the planet. The real test was yet to come. The humans and Minolins stood together, tired but unbroken. They had faced the worst and survived. Now they were ready for whatever came next. The battle for Minara had been fierce, but the tide had turned. Against all odds, the humans and Minolins had managed to push the Vorkal back. The once dark and smoky sky was now clearing, revealing the battered but victorious defenders below. The Minolins, who had been on the brink of destruction, stood tall with hope in their hearts. The humans, who had risked everything, now shared in their hard-earned victory. Captain Aidan Walker surveyed the battlefield, his face smeared with grime but glowing with pride. The Minolins had fought bravely, and their efforts, combined with the humans' determination, had kept their world from falling to the Vorkal. Although many ships and defenses were damaged, the planet had been saved from total destruction. The victory came at a cost. Both humans and Minolins had suffered losses. Several brave soldiers from both sides had given their lives in the fight. The wounded were treated in makeshift hospitals, and the survivors mourned their fallen comrades. But even in their grief, there was a sense of accomplishment. They had stood up to one of the galaxy's most feared empires and had won. In the days that followed, the Minolins began to rebuild their world.